I'd like to talk about the process of bringing a new partner into an existing program. So we had in place legally binding international agreements with Canada, Europe, and Japan for the space station program. When a policy decision was made to bring Russia into the program, it was a really interesting challenge for the negotiators because this is a single integrated facility and we were sharing all the operations and utilization. That required us to come up with a way to value all of the contributions and divide up those resources. So when we decided to add another partner, there was no clause in the agreement that said, here's how you add a partner. And bringing a partner in meant revisiting all of that valuation and sharing process. And so the original partners had this idea of what they called the minimalist approach. And in its simplest terms, that would be go in the agreement and everywhere we have partners listed, just add Russia to the list. Well, that wouldn't work. And certainly from the perspective of Russia, that wasn't enough. Think about how much competence Russia had. They had a long history of human spaceflight programs. That's why they were invited in, because of their capabilities. And as a sovereign nation, they have a right to express their views on how the program ought to operate. So in the very first session, we tried proposing this minimalist approach, and that lasted about a nanosecond, and then Russia started in with all of the things that they wanted to change in the agreement. But because we had no clause to just bring a partner in, we had to renegotiate from top to bottom all of the agreements. That included the intergovernmental agreement, which was at the State Department and Foreign Ministry level in all of the countries, as well as each of the bilateral memoranda of understanding at the space station program and agency level. And so this was a very lengthy 4-year process to get through in order to achieve all of those things. It was further complicated by the fact that these were all in bilateral memoranda of understanding, and so there were some things you could tailor to each individual partner, what Canada was providing, what Russia was providing, and so on. But the management clauses, the operations clauses, there are certain things that needed to be identical in every agreement, otherwise the program wouldn't work. And so it was a very involved, iterative process to get to the end of that. When you have a program that is more distributed in nature, let's say an Earth science program with many individual satellites, it's a little easier to add, if you're just sharing data, for example, to add another country, another partner, because they can come with their data, their spacecraft. Everybody doesn't need to be involved in the management decisions for development of that spacecraft. But Space Station was uniquely a single integrated facility, sharing everything, an integrated crew, and so that drove the need for a very clear agreement on how all of the partners were going to share in the various activities. So as we look forward to future exploration programs, thought needs to be given to how one would add partners over time. There may be aspects of the program that, like Station, were an integrated facility, and if that's the case, then it's harder to add a partner. If it's a more distributed program, it's easier to build in a ready mechanism for addition. So the designers of the program itself, the architecture, will drive what kind of an agreement makes sense, but thought should be given to, do you want to add partners? How would you add them? Are certain areas a better opportunity for adding partners in the future? But giving thought to how to build that evolution in would be really important and helpful.